Glitterstim ASMR, the Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures Game ASMR channel. My name is Andy Myers. In today's episode, I'm joined by Nabi, aka Whisper, who recently made top 8 of the Gold Squadron podcast's Aces Flight Club Championship. This video is also made in effort to raise money and awareness for the charitable organization Deaf Children Australia. You can find more about their amazing efforts and donate using the link in the description. Now let's hear from Ace's top 8, Nabi. Nabi. Hello? Nabi.
Good evening, Andy Myers.
Hey, Navi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy April 1st.
Yep, happy April Fool's Day.
Thank you so much. Oh, it's April Fool's. I totally forgot. That's right. Gosh, how silly of me. Hello, Navi. Thank you so much for joining me on this fun episode of Glitterstim ASMR. And thanks for putting up with my shenanigans earlier. And I'm excited to chat with you about your outstanding performance at the recent Gold Squadron Aces Championship, where you made top 8. So impressive, man. So impressive. So congratulations, and a well-deserved top 8, I'm sure. So I'm excited to hear about it. But first, should probably, for people who don't know you, I mean, I'm sure that's not very many people these days in X-Wing, but for those people who don't know you, can you kind of talk about yourself, who you are, where you're from, your local X-Wing squad, some of the things that you do for the X-Wing community, those types of details.
All right, so where to start? Probably firstly to Fong, who introduced me to the game. Came over one day, and a funny story is that he came over and said, "Oh, I just wanted to introduce me to this game." And he's in Canberra, and he came up to Brisbane, where's where I'm from, Brisbane. And he had gone off and bought I think it was like $40-50 small starter set off somebody else. And we played it on our table over here, and I go, "Hey, I love this game so much. This is really cool." That night, I looked up on, I think it was Gumtree, which is like our secondhand places over here, and it was $200. It was like had everything, all these ships in it, but it was in Canberra. And I'm going, "Oh, you know what, Fong, here, look, you're going back to Canberra. You pick that one up. I'll buy this one off you." And we swap. And I'll tell you what, that was a bad decision because it blew out shortly after. So I started around, I think it's wave 10. I looked up. The Epsilon shuttle had come out. Was I think around wave 10. So that's when I actually started playing X-Wing, and it probably wasn't really into serious competitive play until I think it was like the final wave, just before the Saw shuttle came out, the U-Wing. Yeah.
Saw's Renegades expansion with the
that's the one.
UA. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's probably when I started playing competitively. I was adopted by the Fearless Gunlarks, who probably just put up with me. So as we say, I adopted the Fairship Rebel list in the end of 1.0, and basically that's nothing really substantial done in 1.0. Unfortunately, it was, as I say, it was at the end of the time, and I was starting to get okay at the game. But I always had a love for A-Wings, and trying to make the A-Wings work in 1.0 was pretty hard. Just the power creep and everything, nightmares people tell me about the game. So yeah, but when 2.0 came out, I mean, rejoiced. Everything kind of got resetted, and of course, the first list I put down on the table was A-Wings. And the funny story was, it was worked with Composure, because Composure in red actions, you didn't take the stress if you failed it. So the idea was the A-Wings would target lock and then boost, intentionally fail the boost, get the focus from Composure, and hey, double modded A-Wings. That was short-lived because they fixed the red actions failing, and things moved on. Played 2.0 quite a bit, and what else? Moving on to I actually have notes here somewhere. So so the first competitive one I did okay was the Nationals. That was in New South Wales at the time, Sydney. Okay. And I came, it was a Nationals or System Open? Well, no, it was Nationals. I came 17th. I was number one loser. My
Number-
joke was number one because it was a top 16 cut and I was
Oof.
17th, and I was like, bugger. Yeah, number one loser. And I actually had a very cute, what I called the it was the first of the 2.0, and Bobber and Redline were making big splashes. So it was like Initiative 5 thing, and I had built a Rebel Swarm Tactics list that bumped everything up to 6, and decided to, your Redline's not so scary if it's dead before it shoots.
Right.
And so that was my little fun list that we had. That was before the Resistance came out. And then later on, that was a very jousty list, and the Resistance came out, and I went through little phases. Resistance came out, the A-Wings came out, Lulu was like I start with the list, Lulu, and then build around it. And it was that for quite some time. Grew up my love for A-Wings. Basically, it just grew from there. I think I think technically came second in a hyperspace event, but a good player, Scott, knew that I was anxious and trying to get to Worlds, and he conceded at the end. Great sportsmanship, and so let me qualify for Worlds, and so I did that in 2019. I learned that Talon was a bad on Poe on your very last round on your match, and I lost. I threw the game on the very last qualifying match that cost me the day 2 position at Worlds. That was on me. I do joke that it was jet lag and a whole bunch of other things, but just I fucked up. That was a very expensive lesson, I will say that. But Talon was a bad on Poe. He likes his 2 actions. So that was the Worlds event. I did partake in the OTC on 2019. I crashed out in the System Open in 2019 as well. I was trying a last minute change, trying V instead of an A-Wing, and they moved completely differently. So
yeah.
The one interesting thing I found that I got learned in System Open was the range 3 focused behind a rock. So the story is that my A-Wings were guaranteed to take damage at range 3. I always joke about it, but
yeah.
System Open cost me a game where Tully died when shielded through a direct hit from Finn, range 3 focused through a rock. And since that game, I was plagued by that curse for 9 whole months. I kid you not. Every single shot for 9 months did damage when it was range 3 focused through a rock. This was before Gas Clouds came out.
Sure.
So, okay, that's a bit of history on going into the X-Wing. But yeah, where I'm actually from, as I didn't catch it, was Brisbane, Queensland, Sunshine State in Australia. We are the Maroons versus New South Wales, which is the boys in blue. We are on probably what's the way I like to say the world's largest island. That is on the upside down side of the country. We are ahead in time. We're in the future by about half a day or so.
For you it's Wednesday afternoon, and for me it's Tuesday night, right?
Yeah.
So
that's it. So I can tell you what tomorrow's going to be like if you want to know.
Please. Hopefully better for me. I mean, it was 0 degrees Celsius here. I don't know what it's like down there. You guys are wrapping up summer, right?
Yeah. No, it's I'd love to have 0 degree weather. We luckily we get below 20. That's where we're from, Australia. We have I think a very good X-Wing community here, both in Brisbane and New South Wales. Lots of good competitive players, which is great because I tell you what, you play against tough players, both locally and when you go to these events, it teaches you how to play X-Wing. Throwing yourself and putting every week that we gather, it's a good way to get better. We're very good players in our community. So the recent event, the GSP Flight Club Aces, it was a really good event done by the GSP team. I played in the Alpha, the Delta, and the Omega. So the Alpha and the Delta were extended. The Omega was hyperspace. I couldn't do the 4th one. The Alpha, I went 4-2, and just unfortunately missed the cut. Sure. The Delta, I joked that my PC was on fire because it literally was.
Oh, God.
I went 5-0 and I was just like on top of the world. The dice were on fire. I was in the zone. I predicted all the opponent's moves. I got the bumps when I needed to, and I just went all the way through undefeated until I met Khan, the mighty Khan.
Yes.
It was round 6. It's funny enough. So this is true. So we did. I think it was in the Delta. It was I faced Khan in round 6 of the event, and he had some boss, some he's his bully boss, as I joke. So it was a good match. He knocked me out, but I didn't care. I was round 6. I was 5-0. I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to day 2. I'm going to day 2. Yeah. Until I reset my computer the next day. I went to sleep, and my computer turned out I was having lots of lag on round 5 and 6. My pump had failed, so my PC was overheating, and so when I restarted, the PC wouldn't turn on, and I was panicking for the day 2. But I had a second PC, and I managed to get it on. But it turned out my PC was actually on fire, not my dice.
Don't try that next time either, right? Like, don't just like purposefully like get in there and just mess with the board or the whatever.
No.
Not recommended. Okay.
No, it wasn't, because I was trying to like work out why is the computer so jerky, and so I could restart it. Maybe it's an update or something like that. But then it wouldn't turn on and said CPU overheat, and I'm like, uh-oh. And then it just shut down and then wouldn't turn on again. And that's not a good idea when you're about to play like 30 minutes before the event. Right. So panic. What I did Amiga, did another 4-2 in Amiga. That was in Hyperspace 1. Merle missed. No, I've been in those 3 events. I played Poe and 3 A-Wings, which is what I was playing at Worlds.
Which A-Wings?
So it is Merle. Since Hotshot, is it Hotshot Aces? No, the Resistance, Heralds of Hope came out. Merle is just so good. I used to have Initiative 1 Bluey, who I used to joke was the MVP of my list, because he would do so much work. And now that's been subbed out from Bluey, Merle has now been subbed out for Bluey in that list.
Okay. And for the hyperspace requirement, or what?
No, just because Merle is cheaper than Initiative 1 Bluey and has a really good ability, and then you slap Intimidation on -2 greens is it's always good. I still have a lot of reservation about Mel, because he's retired my Blue Squadron recruit, who was, the pride of my fleet, so to speak. I had Mel, I had Tally, I had ZZ, and then I had Overdrive Poe. I did okay. I think I did okay for those games. Hyperspace is always a little bit tough in Resistance, because I lose a lot of toys. I lose the heroic. You lose objects. You do have pockets, and you do have traces. So it's still okay, but it's tough.
Any interesting matches in the one you qualified for, or anything that you recall? That, I mean, obviously, blowing up your own computer, that's exciting.
Well, I just remember the top 8 when I actually finally got it. Like the guy's like, really cool. I can't remember who it was, but he was like, just take a deep breath. It's okay, I get it. I went in and I hit my iced tea, so to speak, which is like a scotch on the rocks with some soda water. Now I put too much scotch in, because I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was literally panicking. Like, I finally made a day 2 cut, and I can't play because my PC's on fire. But I managed to grab what I used for the streaming in the second computer I had, and was able to get it all up. But I spent 20 minutes just trying to work out the password for my TTS account or something like that. I had to reset my stream account. It just was like, what the hell's the password? I can't think, So, the shout out to my opponent, because he just take a breath, I grabbed a drink. We had a lot of fun, and I actually won the game, I think, if I remember correctly. I think I won the first round, the first game, and I went into second. By which point probably the scotch started to carry over. I wasn't playing that much sober anymore, but it was fun, and just to make it and be there, I was having a great time. And that led me to qualify for the Aces, which was my goal. Which led to the event we had on the weekend, and we had the Wave 9 content come out, and I was stoked, because we had the Rebel A-Wings,
right?
And so now what you probably don't know is, like, I love A-Wings. If you don't know, I absolutely 100% love them. Like Jeff Sanders. Like,
Jeff, shout out to
Jeff Sanders. It's here. yeah, those who in my local will know that tolerate me flying A-wings. It's a question of how many, between 1 and 5, sometimes 6. I ask, how many am I putting on the table today? So A-wings has always been my jam. I think the styling of the ship, it's what probably hooked me on Star Wars in the first place.
Okay.
In the Return of the Jedi, seeing those A-wings zip around on screen, and then having the history about them, always loved them. So with the Rebel Pack coming out and releasing new A-wings, and I have been known to love to fly 5 A-wings in the Resistance side of things. So when the Rebels came out, it was like, well, it was kind of like a no-brainer. I got to fly 5 A-wings, but Rebel ones. So we actually had a in-person event on the Saturday. So GSP was Saturday night for me.
Right.
But we actually had a local, where we have a monthly event happening at our local game store, which is a big shout out to Boots Vegas Comics. Which is it's not central Brisbane. We actually have Central Brisbane, we have South Brisbane, and we have North Brisbane, 3 different areas inside of the community. But so Boots Vegas Comics we have, and they allow us to stream the events on Saturdays when we do it, which is normally once a month. And so we had that. We had an event, and I got to test out the list. That was my test. I mean, people joke like, oh, it's 5 A-wings. Yeah, but that's a new list for me. No, it's 5 A-wings.
Yeah, but
so
brand new triggers. I don't know how to fly this. I don't know how to fly this.
I don't know how to fly this, but so I went through that, and we only played 3 rounds, and I managed to win all of them. There were a couple that was close, and I was able to avoid the Dobson, which is another really good player we have in the local, in the pairing. So that was probably why we managed to go 3-0. I got some advice from Ben Doyle, another really good. It's our local has-been national champion. He suggested switching, because I actually had traces on my Ahsoka and pockets on my Hera. And the idea for that was I could trigger my patience to roll a 2 dice attack for traces. If it hits, great. If it doesn't, doesn't matter. But he suggested switching it the other way around, which then led to some other things we can talk about when I get into my list. But Bendor gave me some advice. I tried it out. You know what? I was like, instinctive aim. I went through the whole day 1 without ever using instinctive aim. And then game 2, in day 2, I used it, and I gone, damn it, Ben, you were right. So, hey. So Bendor gave me some advice on the list, and I appreciate it. And it was just, the 5 A-wings Rebels are really, really good. So that's it for actually how I came to the list, flying the 5 A's. Other recent things we've had in TTS, so we've had lots of GSP events, like internationally, they're great. In the local side of things, in the oceanic side of things, we have Shane Monk been doing the Singapore League.
Yes, I'm signed up for season 3. Yes, I'm so excited. I made the cut. Yep. So I'll be starting up this weekend. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'll look forward to that. So he's actually was organising a lot of events. This is, I think, the season 3. And it's actually one of the reasons why we do the Fearless Gundark stream. As we had a little chat about beforehand, and a lot of it because of the stuff that Shane has been doing behind the scenes, organising these events and organising the matches as well, that we do the streaming on. I just walk up and go, hey, turn on the camera and go, hey, let's go. But Shane has contacts players and gets everything organised, gets bookings in there. We've got people, we got a little bit of community going. It's not just me, because I will just talk about A-rings for every match, and people get sick of it and, unfollow, unsubscribe, whatnot. So we get a lot of different people in there, and Shane is a driving factor behind that. So big shout out to Shane Monk for all he does. But yeah, season 3 is coming up. We actually broke that up into time zones too, so we actually can get a little more in. It's a lot of fun. The other side of this coin is in Australia, we have Jeff Sanders, who does a lot of work with the organising events. He did a whole COVID series since like the last 12 months. We had four seasonal events, I think.
Wow.
which is also, I say, this is one of the reasons why I've been able to continue to play. We went into lockdown, like things went bad in February, and we started playing on TTS. Things, GSP did their events, the Space Jam and all that. But I think one of the best things is for the Australian community has been what Jeff Sanders has done, and keeping everybody connected and engaged, which is really, really good. I just stream the games. These guys do all the work and get the events happening. So so big shout out to Jeff Sanders for what he do. Love his work, and he's a great guy. He always throws in prizes. Like we were doing stream games, and he was like, okay, $5, credit for an online order from Bandit Games, or here's some cards, winner gets this, and a lot of times he does events and it's like free entry, and then he gives optional, and then it's like, oh, there's prizes for coming in. It's like, well, we haven't paid anything. No, you get prizes. Give us your address. It's such a great guy, seriously. So that's what's happening in the recent events. What else? What else is there? Did you? Oh, that's right. We didn't actually talk about what the list was, right? Did you want to know what the list was?
I'd love to hear what your list was for the Hyperspace Aces one, because for people who are not quite familiar with how, if they were under a rock and X-Wing speaking wise, if they didn't know the GSP event, the Flight Club events, basically there were 4 or 5 different qualifying events, and were they all extended, or was one of them Hyperspace?
So the first 2, which was the Alpha and the Omega, they were extended.
They were extended.
They were extended, right?
Okay.
So the very first 2, and I qualified with a resistance list in the second one, the Delta, for the extended one.
Okay.
Then there was 2, I think the Omega and Sigma. Now those one of them had rough time zone for me, so I just I didn't do it. I qualified, but
Yeah.
But they were both Hyperspace, and a lot of people, at least in our local as well, have been really on the fence about Hyper because it was kind of unbalanced.
Sure.
I think what the AMG FFG were trying to do had a good idea, but they didn't follow through on a couple of the factions, which meant it felt a little bit unbalanced on some of them.
And that's fair, especially when they're not sure who's taking the reign. Like, I'm sure that the last points change and Hyperspace adjustment was kind of like, all right, all of you, you're done. All of you, here you go, and we'll see what happens. And something's bound to slip through the cracks. So you qualified for the Aces one, but like there was the new recruits one, right? And then there was the veterans one, and then there was the Aces. And the Aces, it was you had to go 5-0 or 5-1 or 6-0.
5-1 is
And
so
wow.
The recruits basically will auto include recruits, unless if you just went in and dropped, then you would actually get bumped up to vets. So it was to stop people from trying to throw the game and win and smack club seal, so to speak. So basically you had to play 4 games, and if you lost, if you only won 1 or 2 of the games, then you get put into the what got from the name of it now, the vets, Aces, the recruits.
I think it was recruits.
We went into recruits. And I think there was something like 100 something people in there, which is very interesting. Majority of the players was put into the vets, which was basically you had to go 3-3 or 4-2 in one of the events, and that'd qualify you for the vets. There were a couple of people that went 4-2, made cut, and then ended up winning and were doing really, really well, and they got pushed up to Aces. But I think the vets numbers was somewhere in 200.
Yeah, it was close to 200. It was a pretty big event. Lots of players in that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, that's where it should be, right? I mean,
that's right.
I thought that was great way to structure it, of like, okay, if you're kind of new to the game, or if you just, you just kind of won a couple games in your qualifying events, here you go, recruits. And then it keeps, it keeps the whole day interesting, right? Because you're playing people at your level. And I think that's something like when I remember going to my first store championship, my first round was over in 20 minutes because I got stomped so hard. And I'm not even exaggerating. It was 20 minutes. It was like, I have never seen a defender before. What is that? Oh, there's 3 of them. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Oh, and then suddenly they're behind me. So I was like, no. I get it. The first, like, I remember my first tournament too. I was like, I think it was 0-3, and I got stomped hard, but it was a learning experience. I was actually still really, really happy because I went, oh, that's a really cool idea. Oh, this is great. I'm making notes of these, and try these new things. But it is also really good when you do get to play. Like I always say, a close game is a good game.
Yes. Yep.
So if it comes down to, like, you don't like games coming down to dice, but if it comes down to dice, it normally means you're normally playing like on par with your opponent.
Yeah.
And if the dice can just influence the game and make the game swing either way, but you have to be in those positions to use those dice. But close game's a good game, and so having that little segments of the player level was really good, because then players can have more enjoyable games. Win or lose, I don't mind losing a close game if it's a close game, and it's exciting.
Right.
It gets you, it gets that competitive nature up, it gets your blood pumping, and so for me, I think it was a great idea. It really was.
So you qualified twice to the veterans one, but then you did qualify in one of them for the Aces one. So what did you end up flying that this past weekend at the Aces one where you made top 8?
So the previous ones, I had one resistance, because I am resistance. That's normally what I fly. That's my jam. People know resistance in the RZ2 A-wings. Oh God, not again. Fly something different. Look, it's A-wings, it's X-wings. So I'm known for flying A-wings and X-wings. But for the actual qualifiers, as I said, the Wave 9 came out, and the Phoenix Squadron cell came out. We got the points, and I was excited. I was rubbing my hands with glee, and I'm like, okay, A-wings, yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I put together my list was all 5 new pilots. So I had Derek, I can't remember his last name, Derek, who's titled Hobby, which I always joke is a misprint. It should say Nobby, because it's, So Derek, he was just left alone by himself. We had Wedge in the A-wing, and we had Shara. So those 3 are all just pure natural A-wings. No upgrades, just on their own, and they were carried by the pair of Ahsoka and Hera. Now, Ahsoka had patience and instinctive aim with the pocket, and Hera, she had traces, and all up it comes to 198. And as I said, the instinctive aim was added there the last minute. It turned out to be really, really useful. Allows a little bit of flexibility. I was experimenting with trying with the list, like flying a majority of it together with maybe one, like Derek out there, just to get in the way and block if they decide to go a different way. And it would be a combination of Ahsoka being able to coordinate Hera in action, and then basically have token stack on Hera, so Hera can fire off the traces, give everybody locks. Ahsoka can then, if they can shoot at Ahsoka, she's got haste, she can take the focus of aid from Hera. It's really, really nice little synergy there. People ask me why no Jake, and just, you don't need them. And also comes down to points. If I put Jake in, I couldn't put well, with Derek being the cheapest, right? Like if I put Jake in, I'd have to drop traces.
Oh, and that's kind of the point of flying all those kind of together, right? Or at least spread out enough where they're all shooting at the same target. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Traces were really good. It just gives everybody out, and it helps up your damage. But mainly, the reason with traces is shower.
Can you kind of explain what her ability is? Because I got my box yesterday. I picked it up from the store, my local game store yesterday, but haven't had a chance to crack it open yet. So.
Okay, so Shara is, I think Shara is the best new of the A-wings. I mean, excluding Hera and Ahsoka. Okay. In the generic. So Wedge. So we've got first I'll go over them. Derek. He basically can remove a red token when acquiring or spending a target lock.
Oh,
okay. We have Wedge, who has the weaker version of his ability, which is -1 green dice when shooting. And then Shara, which is pretty much like her 1.0 and her arc ability, is when she spends a lock, she can add a focus result to either her attacking or defending. This is where the Hera with a traces comes through, because if you hit with the traces, then Hera has a lock, Shara has a lock. Shara rolls her 2 dice or 3. She's at range 1. She can spend a lock if she needs to get, 2 or 3 pain. And then Hera can pass her lock, add a focus result, and suddenly, boom, if you're a range 1, you've got a 4 dice attack.
Wow.
Or if you're range 2, you've got a 3 dice attack, and it's more consistent than a CLT shot. So that pairing worked really, really well, and it happened to several games where Shah was able to just put out damage because of that target lock combo, more so than Wedge, who, you know, every time had a focus would like focus hit, or, you know, sorry, focus blank or double blank, you know. So Shah was actually the important piece in that list because she just could do so much more damage.
Sure.
And sometimes you can coordinate with Ahsoka to get that, or you can have Hera give the action. You had 2 different ways to, you know, double mod Hera's shot. You roll, if you just now roll 2 paint, well, you spin the lock she has and then add 3rd, and then boom, you got 3 hits.
Yeah.
So Shah was really good. People ask me why no Sabine. And Sabine, I think, is a really good ship, but she also encourages a certain kind of play style, which is not what I like to do. Sure. So Sabine is great with Fearless and the face-off, the free evade, but it means you got to joust.
Right. Yeah, it's Fenrau light basically, and yeah. What is her initiative?
She's initiative 3. She's initiative 3.
Yeah.
So
a little scary.
Yeah, you know, it means you got to joust, and I don't like to joust with the A-wing. I think one of the things that makes them so fun is that you can play mind games with your opponent. You can make it like, I'm going to go this way, but then I'm going to quick hard one barrel or boost the other way, and I'm suddenly coming in from a different direction. You just have flexibility with the A-wings. They can just be so squirrely, you know. And one of the advantages of the A-wings is you can start shooting on a target, and then on dime switch to another target. You know,
right.
And it's just keeping your opponent guessing. And so the fact that you could do that means whereas with Sabine, you got to kind of like be in your face. You know, you got to get there. You normally have one of the A-wings I like to get in there as a block just to cause deny of actions. And I tried doing that with Sabine in the 2 or 3 games where we had the Wednesday when they released at a local where I got to try it out. And so I didn't trigger Sabine once. It just, no. And you come down to Sabine or pockets. I'll take the pockets.
Pockets, yeah, definitely.
So that's how the list came about. So it's the 5 A-wings. What can I say? Nice, wholesome, nice, honourable flying of 5 A-wings. Okay, so you asked me also some lists and some games I played that I remember.
Yeah, just any memorable games. I know that your round 6 opponent in the was another Australian, if I recall, looking at the TTT site. But
correct. So for Aces, Khan and I were the only Australians to qualify for Aces. Right. Big shout out to Khan.
Yes.
As much as we hate him, he always likes to fly filthy, dirty lists, but he's a great player. And when I say to anybody who hears me, if I say something's dirty or filthy, it's my way of showing respect. So don't misunderstand me. It's what we joke around here. Wholesome and filthy are like good words in our list building community. So, but yeah, he was actually a little bit left out, hung to dry, because the changes in hyperspace meant his usual filth of the M3As or the they were all out the door. They're gone. It's like that. 1 week before the event, can't fly it. So he actually was bailed out, not bailed out, but helped by Michael Turner, who made Vets. And he had a Django Zam list, double fire spray. So he took that, and it came down to round 6 for that. We were both 3-2 at that point.
Yeah. And
so basically came down to sudden death. It was like one of us was going to go through, and 5 A-wings versus 2 ships. It's a slight advantage of the ship numbers. That was a really good match. I managed to trade. I think I actually had to. I actually threw Ahsoka in. I should have done a 5-stroke. Didn't do a 4-stroke. But basically, I had to throw Ahsoka into instinctive aim a pocket onto Sam, but I had all the other ships there as well with Hera, everything. And basically, I traded Ahsoka for Sam and half on Wedge. and then I started to turn in and go after his Django, and like Wedge should have died, and it would have been a closer game, but Wedge stayed alive on 1 hit point, and then it became just a case of like he trying to go through, and Derek was actually just a block off his hand for like 4 turns, and just keeping in there, and it got to the point where it's like, okay, the game's won, so we finished it up, and that was a good game though. It was a really good game, but it actually prepared me for the first round in the top 16, which was also against Sam and Django again, which was flown by, I've got his name up here, sorry, Gary Carlton. I hope I said his name correctly. Yeah, and I got to say, like, with my 5As, one of the things I pride myself is getting that open engagement, knowing when I want to shoot, when I want to go in, when I want to do the range, and just getting the pot shots out. And the open engagement, the guy just he went one way, I went the other way, and then I faked and went to the other way to try and catch one of the other guys going in there. We didn't get shooting for probably like six rounds or something. It was just a like nice little like, I'm going to do mind games, and then you're going to do the hard one away, and then but anyway, he actually nailed the perfect engagement for him. I got 0 shots, and I just going, well, damn. He had to fly his Zam over a debris field, but it let him drop some bombs and shoot out, but rear arcs. I mean, people tell me all the time that Z2's rear arcs are bad, but hey, fire sprays, man, they got the same. It's 3 dice. So he actually outflew me in the opening engagement, and I think he got half points on the ship. Okay. The wife's coming in. She's making lunch.
Yeah, hello.
It smells really good. It smells really good. I will soon. So the engagement there. He outflew me in the opening engagement. I got 0 shots, but then I had to we swung around some the debris fields and gas clouds. So the debris fields and the gas clouds I had, yes, and I was managed to then capture his Initiative 6 Django. Okay. And so he wasn't able to get away. I managed to get a lucky crit on, which was the sensor damage sensor rate, and so he couldn't boost out anymore. And so boom, I was able to capture him, and I got like 1.5 fire sprays down for I think 2 halves and 2 A-wings, but he nailed the open engagement. I just like that. That was a great open engagement. So which then led to the top 8, which I was then against Dan. Zurub, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounced. I'm probably butchering your name. And
I've done it plenty of times. I've butchered a lot of names. My first video that I made for this channel, I can't tell you how many names I butchered for that. 75 minutes of names I've never read before. Going, okay, sorry.
You're whispering it so they wouldn't have heard.
Right, exactly. Oh, hey, all right, you got it. You got it. Yeah.
Oh.
Every name sounds Polish when you're whispering, right? It's all so yeah.
Yeah, so he had the 4 Roombas, the Roombas, the droids with the frisbees.
Yes. The Roombas. I haven't heard that before. All right. Yes, I like that a lot. All right.
Yeah. 4 Roombas. So with their side slip, they basically can just kite the side of the board. They didn't go in. And I actually tried to fly. What I probably should have done, I kept all the A-wings together and just gone in for like initiative kill on one of them. Because there were 3s and 2s. I could have initiative killed the 3 with firepower, but I was actually trying, okay, well, let's see how he goes. And I hadn't played that list for probably 9 months or something. I think not since
when they came out,
space,
right?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, this was the first list with the 5As, the Rebel 5As I had, that I really missed my rear arc.
Oh, sure, right.
Okay, yeah.
Because of those 180 arcs out those small base, they can.
Yeah. You kind of got to go fast, overshoot them, get the so it. I actually flew a little bit differently than I normally do, and I had actually Hera go solo with Derek kind of somewhat in between, getting ready to block the 2 different lanes. It was also the second game that actually had instinctive aim come into play. I lost Hera on the opening engagement, and I got half or did not quite critical damage to one of them. Second turn, I was able to get Hera off, pocket off the second one. So I was down to 3 of them. But I had lost kind of too much, and it was just kind of like, the other one that was wounded, I was trying to finish off, and he got the block that he needed to. Flew really, really well. And just the way that they move with the side slip, it becomes really hard to get the preferred engagement because they can just keep that range. He had the droids on there to get the long range target locks, and it came like the open engagement for me came down to do I take shots at range 3, but then I'm eating like he had synced laser cannon, so he would have 3 dice with no range bonus.
Right.
You know, all these kind of things came into it, and I'm like, no, I've got to get in the range 1, and so. I trade because basically range 1 meant 3 dice and 3 dice versus 1 agility, and I might have been able to kill 1 had I kept Ahsoka with the rest of the team, and I had not done it for that one. So it came down to it was like 136 to 27. I was like half point on the ship. It was a really close game.
Yeah.
But I think Dan's got the win, and I was actually lucky at the end to get that in. Derek was a hero for that game and actually finished off killing off one of the droids on the last turn. So it was really good game, that one. The other one I would like to say is the very first game I played against Derek Snyder. He was finding 6 Barons. And it's a funny story because he actually ended up going top 16, but for round 1 me and him were paired. And it's funny because it was sort of like a warm-up game for both of us because he was playing with his 6 Barons, 2 Tracers, 4 Prockets, and I was playing with the 5 A-Wings. And we were just chilling and talking. And it wasn't until like 60 minutes in that we both realized that he had discipline on his ships. And so I was like, oh, I could have done this. And it was the first game for me on TTS because I hadn't played anything. I tried to get some rest after the in-person event, and I completely stuffed up the barrel focus on wedge, thinking like, okay, it's going to be here, and my table I hadn't recalibrated, and I basically left wedge with no tokens in shot of 3 of the range 1 ships because I thought the barrel boost would get him out of 2, and I was like, okay, I've lost wedge, and it came down to 4 A-Wings versus his 6, and I clawed back the game until the very last turn where he gets 2 hits on my Ahsoka, who has 2 force up. And it was a bumped, he was bumped, I was bumped, and I had to get half points on another ship, and I managed to do that without triggering his discipline. And he gets 2 hits on his natty roll, and Ahsoka just completely blanks out to lose 2 shields to lose the game by 6 points. It was a good game. It was a great game. It was a great game. But it was just fun because we were both kind of like just getting into the groove of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I had one of the second game actually was against it was actually the third game. And this is where I like, wow, this is actually a really good list. Was against a patrol leader, Soontir, and Sienna.
Oh, was that Doug Howe?
That was Doug Howe.
Doug Howe. If you aren't sure who Doug Howe is, just think of like a really crazy list you'd never think of, and then make a cut with it. Right? That's Doug Howe. Like he's such an inventive list builder. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to hear about this. What was it?
Because he had Darth Vader on his patrol leader, and then he had I think he just Predator. Basically, the Soontir and Sienna Ree was basically naked. When I say naked, I mean the 3 health. They didn't have the shield upgrade and all that. Oh, wow. I don't know the exact upgrade, but basically 2 aces and patrol leader. And patrol leader had Darth Vader on there, and it's funny because he actually used the red coordinate on it to coordinate Soontir. And I'm like, wait, what? They have coordinate? And it's like, yeah, because I've never seen someone use a decimator to coordinate a ship. It ended up backfiring on him, but basically it's funny, I got a Procket off on Soontir that did 1 damage. He managed to evade everything but 1 damage. Wow. And I was like in the opening game, I'm like, okay, well, I got damage on Soontir. Hey, that's something. And I think I got like a pot shot at the decimator, which stripped 2 shields. But Sienna was up the top of the map, and I had Wedge in there to threaten her. So he disengaged with his Sienna. Soontir kind of had to get out of there because after facing the Procket. And then I just went, okay, everyone on decimator. Right. And 2 turns, it was gone.
Oh my God. With A-Wings. I can see that with, some, 5 X-Wings or something like that, but just with A-Wings, holy cow. Yeah.
So, and that was partly because of the Shara rolled, like Shara was at range 1 and rolled 3 focus results. Hey, here's a little target lock. Hey, spend your focus. There's 4 hits, and Wedge, Wedge didn't do anything. Wedge was like, oh, you got 0 agility. Well, guess what? 0 agility again. He did have Vader on there. And Vader, A-Wings don't like Vader, but normally, but with Hera on the board and Ahsoka being able to do double token Hera, you go, oh, Vader, okay, here you go. Hera, yo, give us a token. So it was like less scary than I'm kind of used to. And like I said, it was a really lovely list. It was a great game. So Suntir had taken lost the damage on Suntir from the pocket. So I melted the patrol lead in 2 rounds, and then I started pressuring Sienna. And there was a turn where I can't remember if it was Shara or Wedge. I think it was Shara, was out there and called Sienna doing a hard over the gas cloud to basically be strange. And meanwhile, there was a range 1 shot from an A-wing.
And no tokens when you fly over a cloud, right? So strained and no tokens, yes.
1 shot later, bye-bye. Yeah, so Sienna got 1-shotted. And then it came down to Suntir versus, I don't know if I lost the name. I think I had 2 halves on A-wings. I'm not too sure, but it came down to a numbers game with Suntir. And then a turn or 2 later, I got 1 crit through, and it was a direct hit, which killed him.
Yep.
And because of the pocket before I had done the damage, I completely forgot. And I'm like, direct hit, okay, getting ready for the dials. And he's like, no, he's gone. What do you mean? It was just a direct hit. He goes, yeah, but there was a damage from the pocket. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, good game.
So, yeah. Okay, sure. Good game. Great. I'm going to go have a drink. Actually, both the game 2 and the game 3, which were against the Aces, because game 2 had the defender and Suntir and Gideon.
Oh, okay.
Both those 2 actually, like, I normally the Pwn 3As I have get pretty close to time nearly every turn. Those 2 games we finished in about 40 minutes.
Wow.
And I was surprised
dials down, just let's play.
Like, yeah, because that normally the firepower is just not that enough. And this is where it comes down to Wedge and Shara and the pocket in there, really adding and buffing the firepower as well with Hera in there, that the Lister actually can put out quite a bit of damage, more so than normal 5A wings. So I was really, really surprised at just how quickly those 2 games went. I was like, oh man, I'm telling, great, this is great. So yeah, those 2 games were really, really good. And they were, I mean, for me anyway, they were a lot of fun. And yeah, so they were the highlights for the games I really remember. There was I'm trying to think. There was another next really close game. I was probably against a Rebel Sala, not Rebel Sala, 3 X-wings, 2 Y-wings, and that came down to 1.5 Y-wings versus like 2 A-wings left. But once I had to get
Was that the five Y-wings list I saw somebody running?
No, this was Colin Richards. He had 3 X-wings and 2 Y-wings with thermals and ion turns. Sure. Yeah.
That seems good.
Yeah. No, it was good. There's a lot of beef. Yeah, a lot of beef. Yeah. Had to kind of just trade effectively, but yeah, it was a really good game. It was a really good game. So yeah, that's Galaxy's Ace event in a nutshell. I mean, all the games I played, I was really enjoyable. But yeah, I do apologize if I've missed anyone, because I tell you what, time zones, it's a pain. I was the first day. As I said, I had a day event. I had probably I'll try to give myself like 3 hours sleep, and I couldn't sleep a wink. I think I got maybe 20 minutes snooze before the event. And so I was just going off, I was powered by caffeine and coffee and for the night. And I actually thought it was originally was going to be 2 drops, you're out, but I found out that he made a top 16, which allowed several 4 and 2s to go through.
Sure.
So after my first loss, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be tough. And I think round 4, so I got my second loss against Florent Menu. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but Italian guy running Scum. That was a loss. But I'll tell you what, seriously, I hate Sirisu now.
Yeah. Oh, it's how many M3As were with her?
It was Sirisu and Sunny. But it was Sirisu, yeah. So he had Denga, Lando, Sirisu, and Sunny. But Sirisu triggered maybe 8 times in the game.
What?
Yeah, 8 times in the game. Yeah. Wow. But 7 of those, I think, were Natty rolled into evades on like bum chips.
That's not how my Sirisu rolls, but all right.
Well, that's right. I've seen Sirisu rolls. I know how it goes. I'm like, yeah, it's another blank. But no, he was like, I got so frustrated. Like the last turn, which would have made it final salvo to balance the score. His Sirisu rolled 3 natty, re-rolled his Sirisu into 3 evades to stop that 1 damage that he needed to get half points. 3 times. I had just enough damage and a serious reroll into the evade. He needed to stop it. And it happened 3 times last turn. I was like, I'm going to table flip this seriously. God damn it. Yeah. Good game. Yeah. So I hate Seriously now along with Seaborn. Yeah. Okay. So that was that was GSP in a nutshell. A lot of fun.
Well, thank you for recapping, because I know that there's so many great, especially at the Aces event, right? It's just like every name you go, oh, that person, oh yeah, oh that person, oh yeah, okay, that person's made all these top cuts and various wins and stuff like that. So so there's a lot of excellent players, and like you said, like a lot of your games came down to just like a half ship here or half ship there, and so that's it's always fun to play in those types of events and to hear about those like little minute minute details, or like one mistake or one good idea later, and you're just you're winning or losing. So well, speaking of like fun tournaments and stuff, I know you talked a little bit about the Fearless Gundarks and your streaming career. Can you tell us for those who aren't familiar with Fearless Gundarks, like just kind of give a brief recap of what you guys do and who's in it and what you're about and where they can find you.
Yeah. Okay. So we do streams of TTS games as well as in-person games. We have some gear set up at our local, which is the Bris Vegas Comics. For anyone in Brisbane, Australia, and I help them set that up, and they basically allow people to stream other games as well on their channel. But we do our events, in-person events, there to stream it. But since COVID kicked in, because that's what we actually started doing. We actually started the streaming to do the in-person events. We covered some of the OTC 2019. And we covered I think they actually we had Dion come down for the System Open, so we didn't need to do it, which was great. Yeah, I mean, hey, Dion's coming down to do the streaming. Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, we can't compete with that. Go. It was great. But we did the OTC, and we had done previous in-person events. But when COVID hit last year, I started to do streaming some Vassal games, and then we switched over to TTS as it got a lot more prettier. The crew who run the TTS mod, Crazy Vulcan and Flipstar, they made huge changes to TTS, which actually made it very easy to pick up and play, and very pretty. So we kind of switched over to that, to streaming for those, and we were streaming basically just casual games initially to start with. We're between Queensland and New South Wales. Because we had the community growing, at least with that. That included people from Melbourne coming up. Jeff Sanders put out his reaches and started, forming, I think it was the Australian Plastic Space Force. I think that was just because someone else was running Onyx, I think, and so he didn't want to do any overlap. But he put out his reach and got people together and started running these events, and then we started just streaming them on a casual basis. Shane Monk started giving us a hand, and because I tried to help support him get going with the Singapore League. And he in turn helped out a lot with organizing events, making it a lot easier. He actually he's the one that did the credit on the intro we have on our Fearless Gundark stream. Like he just did little things like that. I say he's the unsung hero of the Fearless Gundarks. He's not an actual Fearless Gundark. It's people in Brisbane, but he should be an honorary one because he's done so much work in getting us to where we are today. So big shout out to him and his work he does. So he came in and so he put some of the media together for us, and did the schedule. So we're actually not running around headless chickens trying to do this. I mean, sometimes I still am, but he does make things a lot easier. And then we normally stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays is what we try and line up games for. And we have started doing Saturday mornings. Now, Saturdays is one of those funny things is before us, okay, and that's Tuesdays and Thursday nights for us is probably Monday, Wednesday evening or morning.
It'd be really early morning here in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's like 7 o'clock at night for you, it's like, that's 19, it'd be like 6 a.m. for me, basically.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
So we don't always catch it, but that's what we started doing on Saturdays. Now Saturdays we do it when we don't have events on, but we have 2 to 3 stores around Brisbane, and sometimes I try and do like once every 2 months. So we don't always do Saturday mornings, but the idea for the Saturday was to reach out to the international community, tee off some games between Aussies and some other international players. We try to reach out to a few different squads and try to do like a squad highlight kind of stream. And just reach out. Like I told you, we want to get you on one of our Saturday morning streams. So that's what that Saturday segment is for. It's more targeting international reach, just in general, try to highlight the Oceanic, not just Australia, but Oceanic. I say New South Wales, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, and the rest of Australia, X-Wing. Because I think we've got a great community over here, and it's really interesting to see. I've started to watch lots of games. It's one of the upsides of doing the hosting and organising and streaming of it, is that you get to watch a lot of different players, and it's really interesting to see the different play styles come through. Because when you play in just your local meta, you get used to how different people play. And so sometimes I find that you play games that you play the player, not necessarily the list, because you get used to, I know he's going to do this, so I'm going to do this because that's how he plays. Whereas when you play against a wider audience, and this is one of the great things for the GSP does, is it allows you to play against a wide variety of players, and each player you play against has their own little meta that they've been brought up in, and then the play style is different, and it's really, really interesting to see that. And I think that's one of the great things about these events, that is just fantastic, playing against all these different people, seeing their different list ideas, and just watching the meta grow because of all the different influences from all around the world. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and your group is a part of that, right? So Fearless Gunner, looks like I catch you guys on stream sometimes when I'm up way too late and it's like 6 a.m. and I'm like, oh, Fearless Gundarks are on. Great. I should probably go to bed.
No.
But I think you've seen me in your stream chat some mornings or some nights for you, and go, and then like within the first few rounds, I'm like, oh, okay, I should go to bed. I'll see you, Navi. But yeah, so I know that at least in Minnesota, we recently did a like Minnesota players versus Michigan players, right? So we're doing like different states, and so I might try and convince Paul Olson, who's kind of in charge of the Minnesota team, to do like a Friday night, Saturday morning in Australia, games against some Australian players or something like that. So we'll coordinate that after the fact. But speaking of future stuff, do you have any thoughts on like what X-Wing is going to look like? I mean, you and I were talking beforehand about like, all right, let's get this pandemic behind us, let's get our vaccines, and let's have some tournaments. And what are your thoughts? And like new ships, more A-wings? I don't know.
I mean, the answer for me is always more A-wings, and the last wave that come out, I mean, I'm been ecstatic. It's just been it's like Christmas. It's like, yes, new A-wings. And I think the best thing for me is like I'm going to be seeing more A-wings at the table, and more people are going to be able to roll their eyes at me anymore. I mean, they probably still will, but A-wings are out.
I'll just blame you, right?
Yeah. Oh, quickly, a shout out to all the players who have let me put A-wings on the table continually, even though they have not just walked away. So that's I do want to say thank you for all the people that have put up with me. But as for the future of X-Wing, like I told you, so AMG took over. We got a little bit of a change here. FFG had been doing great. What they've been doing, have been releasing and things like that, have been really, really good. And it came a little bit surprised to hear when they changed over to AMG. Because for me, it was like, who are these guys? Now, people had said they'd done the Marvel Crisis Protocol, and been doing wonders with that. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. But I've been put on the fence a little bit. I've just been a little bit worried, because the recent events that they did the Unconventional Warfare. They released that in a live stream, which was off in the time zone. So we didn't even, like Australia, for example, we didn't hear about it till later on in the day.
Right.
And like that was like a 3-day suddenly like, hey, we got this event on, it's 3 days, just go. And it was like, well, what did we plans this week? You know, we some like I know
Right.
for both Brisbane and New South Wales, there was a event happening that Saturday, and you know, just like and Western Australia, sorry, the Perth Jaguars, Utini. They had an event on and they were conflicted about doing this, you know, conventional warfare. They had zero notice. And I think it just demonstrated that, hey, this is a great idea. But we have zero experience in doing these because we've just fumbled the idea. And I felt it was just such a missed opportunity. So I'm worried that AMG are going to drop the ball on this, and I really hope they don't. So fingers crossed that that things continue, because X-Wing's a great game, and I do hope to see that they have new content. All the stuff that's been in the pipeline now is all FFG. So I'm still yet to see anything out of AMG, and this is why I'm a little bit worried, because now's the time where they've got to start coming out with ideas and start getting them developed. And like I've heard word that that their testers haven't resumed testing, which meant that they haven't got any ideas in the pipeline, which means that they're a little bit behind. And with what they did with the unconventional warfare I felt was a little bit untested and a little bit unbalanced, and it was dropped with zero notice. So it meant a lot of people, you know, like there was no chance for anyone to say, hey, what about this? How about this? We tweak this. You know, it just dropped in 3 days ago, and it was a missed opportunity. So great idea, a little bit of fumble on the execution, and that's so far what I've seen out of AMGs. And I'm just a little bit worried, I would like to see more A-Wings. I want to see more ships. We heard that there's going to be the Razor Crest. So that, I mean, we have so much new content coming out, right? We've got the Mandalorian, we had the Clone Wars.
Bad Batch is right around the corner. Obi-Wan cast announcements just came out. Yeah. Disney's not holding anything back.
That's right.
Yeah, it's on AMG now. So
yeah, that's it. So what that means basically is there's going to be content to create around. It's just a matter of them actually getting up and doing it. So hopefully we see some new stuff coming out. I say pessimist. I'm worried, but I'm hopeful. So we'll see. And points, like they released the points out Monday, like they promised. They did say on the stream. So, you know, it's not all bad. They did keep their word. It was a little bit late for some of us. It was like the 11th hour on the Monday, I think it was for you guys, but they did release it.
I think it was like in Seattle, it was like 8 o'clock in the evening or something. It's like, oh, this is after work hours, guys. Which is nice. I mean, I'm glad that somebody put the time in to decide, you know what, it's after 6, but I'm going to make sure that these get out on, on the day of. And I think I was watching the Gold Squadron podcast stream that night, and they had started streaming before the points had come out, and they're like,
that's right. Yeah.
At the end of the stream, Dion, when the points had come out and they were talked about, Dion mentioned, like, I did send a text or a tweet at AMG like, hey guys, where are the points? And so either they're, paying attention to the community, and so hopefully feedback like, we like this unconventional warfare idea, but you need to give us notice so that the communities can organize events around it or promote it, right? Like, we're your best promoters, the content creators. And so work with us, even if you can't acknowledge some of the if you can't acknowledge the online thing, fine, but at least acknowledge that there are people out there willing to organize community events, whether it's in person. If Australia can do in-person events, great. Eventually we'll be able to start doing that here in the US, and we want to do those things, but hopefully they're rebuilding a network. And I hear you, but I hear your pessimism or your concern, and I share some of those concerns as well. And so I guess I'm a little bit more optimistic, but at the same time, I mean, I have some friends that unfortunately lost their jobs from FFG because of the transition, and it's like. Well, I don't really want to chat about X-Wing with my friend who I play Overwatch with, because he's no longer working at FFG. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. So what about any like future Fearless Gundark stuff? Any future, Australia and Oceanic areas as a whole that you guys got coming down the pipeline that you want people to be aware of?
Well, okay. Right now, Shane Monk, I don't know if it's going to be in time for the release, but he has done as I mentioned, like Singapore League with time zones, both for
I
Europe.
think that one will be done with the signups by the time this
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah. So yeah, the signups are about to close, so that one is on, and just like Shane has also does some really nice old art cards.
Yes.
So they are so nice that I'm considering like we forming a Patreon support to get those cards out to people that really want them, because he does a lot of that out of his own money, and so he always feels bad about asking for money for in the price support, like pay a couple of dollars extra, but it's literally because he spends a lot of money to get them designed and done up because of the hard plastic ones.
Because it's not his name on the illustration. He's not the illustrator.
No. He pays someone to make the card to do the illustration.
Because I've actually been considering contacting that person to do Glitterstim got a donation, and so we're going to be creating altar. I'm going to be hiring an illustrator to make an altar card, and I've been kind of looking around at different artists and stuff, and I saw the ones that Shane had put up for the Singapore thing. I was like, oh, those are beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
And so
yeah.
I might you might have to put me in touch with Shane and find out who that
we'll
artist
work
is.
So,
okay, good.
Yeah. So like what Shane does in that, it's just gorgeous cards, absolutely. And they're just coming in. So those who are asking for Wave 2, they are coming out. So we've got that. We also have Jeff Sanders running the Onyx Squadrons. He's got a series of events. Like the first one's the Original Gangster, which is to promote the original faction, the original trilogy, the Rebels, Scum, and Empire. Which just coincides with the Wave 9 release. Of all those three factions. So he's got a little event going on there now as well. So that's going to kick off in a couple of weeks as well. I was also speaking with Guppy. I don't know I hope he doesn't want me to talk about this, but we were talking about having a State of Origin themed matchup, New South Wales versus Queensland. Because for those who don't know, the State of Origin, like this rugby, it's a state battle of wills. So there's 3 rounds of Queensland versus New South Wales, the Blues versus Maroons. So we were thinking about doing that for X-Wing and having the games on the same week as the State of Origin, but not the same day, like Tuesday or Friday, and be like our own little State of Origin. So we got that also in the works as well. Currently, there were some other ideas, but with GSP announcing a few other ones, we're just kind of I'd say cautious about planning anything major coming up, just because there's so much actually going on, which is really good. The Cyber Cup's out there now. The GSP's announced the next World Series, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and I believe they finally announced the dates as well for those.
Correct.
So other not mega GSP events can kind of schedule around those.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be great.
That's it. Yeah. So with that out there, we've got the two current ones on there, and the Fearless Gun Ducks will be covering both the Original Gangster and the Singapore League events over the coming weeks. So we're going to be busy.
And you'll be posting about that on the OzX Facebook page and stuff like that, I assume, and stuff like that. So.
Normally you'll find the posts on the Australian X-Wing. You can connect directly to the Fearless Gun Ducks Facebook if you wish to get the posts every time we go out. I do also spam the Discords in the non-related events. So if you do keep an eye on one of those, I think there's a few out there that I will post it on there so people know that we're going live for the international community. But the best way is just follow us on Twitch. We will be doing another giveaway once we hit 700 followers. We are about 6 away. So 700 is going to be our next little goal, a little milestone, So for those who do follow, I know that time zones is a pain, so it's hard to watch us live, but I get happy every time I see, 200 people view the video in the next 24 hours, something like that. So like, just tune in, watch. It makes me happy.
Absolutely, yeah. It's free. It's free to follow, and you can just watch.
That's it.
Watch the games. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, you can donate, you can sub if you want. I'm not going to stop you, but just tuning in and watching makes me happy, guys. So, that's the Fearless Gun Ducks. We have a nice little bit of a team. Shout out to all the Fearless Gun Ducks that play in Brisbane. We've got Corey. We've got let me go through the names. We've got Corey. We've got Aaron. We've got Matt. We've got Sean. We've got Iceman, who's had a baby, so he hasn't seen much of him.
All right.
Yeah, but we've got a new face to train in X-Wing in a couple of years' time. We've got Jason, we've got Damo, a whole bunch of the crew, really good, really great people. Oh, Connor, sorry, don't forget Connor. So we're nice little community we've got going in Brisbane, and then we've also got the Renegades. Who shout out to them. Hi, they're great to play against sometimes. Very much a wholesome team. Yeah, so with the Brisbane community is really good, and we try to get them on as well. Everybody in try to participate in some shape or form. So that's what it was all about. So
Great.
yeah.
Well, let's see. Do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up, X-Wing related or un-X-Wing related, that you'd like to have a moment to?
A-Wings, yeah, best ship in the game. A-Wings are the best ship of the game. Resistance is the best faction.
Naturally, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I know I didn't play it, and I'm sorry for those who gave me flack about that. There was 0 resistance in Aces, and I felt terrible for not flying resistance. But 5 A-Wings. I have an image to maintain.
I think you and I have this heroic resistance connection, because that like my like first like top 4 in a system open was flying Jess Pava and 3 Red Squadron heroic X-Wings in Seattle, and that was like the first time resistance had like done really well, like 4 X-Wings or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And it was around the time Rebel Beef was a thing, and so
yep.
So then I see on I think it's on Discord, your logo is the heroic card, right? Or it's the art for it. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So somebody gets it. All right, very good. So yeah. Well, one thing I did want to bring up, and we talked about this last night very briefly, is that we're doing this this kind of April Fool's ASMR video, which is very clearly not ASMR. And I wanted to reach out to you about an Australian charity community that or charity organization that if people are interested in donating, we had talked about children with hearing impairments or deaf children, or research for them. And so we are going to do our research and find an appropriate. Did you say you had found one?
Okay, yeah. So actually, firstly, that's something we didn't. I skipped over, and it's something I normally mention to any of my opponents like faces. Actually, I'm hard of hearing. And I got one ear that doesn't work, completely not working, and the other one suffers from Meniere's disease, which is basically a balance issue / tinnitus, ringing in the ear. So it goes through a hearing aid. So everything I do is going through a hearing aid, and so a lot of the players, are very accommodating, and it's one of the great things about the community is when I say that, I always say, if I'm not looking at you, I'm not hearing you, and people tolerate, people put up with it, and people support it. And I really say a big thank you to everybody who does that. It really is a great, it's appreciated. So that's why you mentioned the Deaf Children's Society. I will send you a link. Do you want to just post it in the
yeah, so I'll add it. It should be on the bottom of the screen right now.
Okay.
Like I'll add it into the video, but then it's gonna be like the top link on the YouTube description. It'll say like charity, blah blah blah. So so don't worry about that. So but yeah, if you're still watching this, please check out that link, and if you are able to make a donation, we'd really appreciate it. So
it's deafchildrenaustralia.org.au. It's one that I support with the Deaf Lottery, and basically they help with helping children and families that have deafness as a handicap, so to speak. So I'm lucky enough that I've just had hard hearing from a young age, and I've been able to accommodate it as I've grown up and as things gotten worse. So I consider myself lucky. But some other people, and especially the children, are not. So please do a donation. Every time you blow up an A-Wing, donate $2. That would, it makes me sad, but it makes me happy at the same time. So do something like that would be great.
Yeah. So we'll make sure to put that in the video, and thank you to everybody who in advance, for doing so, because And Nabi, thank you so much for sharing that part of yourself with people who may not know. And I know that's a personal thing. I didn't want to ask you.
No, it's fine.
I
give reason why the Deaf Children's Society is. Yeah. So I consider myself lucky, considering that it could have been worse. And I have a great community that accommodating for me. So I really appreciate it. So yeah, it's one of the things you do. Everybody's got problems in some way. That deafness is just one of mine. But we make do. Yeah. So. But anyway,
we're trying to keep X-Wing an accessibility positive game.
That's it.
Yep. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I think I've kept you from your lunch that your wife mentioned, which I'm sure is going to be delicious, but cold now. So I'm so sorry about that.
No, smells good.
So thank you, Nabi, so much. Once those Glitterstim ASMR Altar cards come out, you'll be getting one sent to you in the mail. It's going to be Whisper, because of course, right?
Of course.
Yeah, the lowest hanging fruit I can possibly think of. And so I appreciate you putting up with my shenanigans and for doing this excellent interview. So congratulations again on a top 8 finish at the Aces, the cream of the crop of X-Wing players, and you're right up there with them. So congratulations.
I appreciate it.
And I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we'll sign off. And so thank you, and we'll see you on Fearless Gundarks soon.
See you then.
A massive thank you to Nabi for his time and community building efforts. You can find Nabi hosting the Fearless Gundarks Twitch stream at www.twitch.tv/fearlessgundarks. Please head to www.deafchildrenaustralia.org.au to find out more about their efforts in supporting deaf and hard of hearing children and their families. If you like this ASMR content or appreciate the absurdist creative humor, please like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Then head to www.patreon.com/GlitterstimASMR and sign up to be on the Jedi Council to offer your ideas for future episodes of this ridiculous project. Thank you, and may the Force be with you. Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew.